होमज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन् इति नाम्ने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So today we are continuing our next session on the glories of Srimati Radharani, especially based on we are doing, especially it is because of Srimati Radharani's appearance day. Radhashtami is coming up, so prepare in order to prepare our consciousness. So till now we have discussed about Srimati Radharani's glories, about the Tattva and about the love of Srimati Radharani for Krishna, the pure love, okay, and also how she appeared in Goloka, and about the names of Radharani mentioned in different Vedas and Upanishad and Puranas. Now next section is Srimati Radharani. Yesterday we were talking that Srimati Radharani appeared in Goloka. Then now today we are discussing how she came in earth, on the earth. Okay. So this is a very nice story, wonderful story. So once Srimati Radharani was serving Sri Hari in a solitary place in Mahavan. This is in Goloka. So this is happening in Goloka Vrindavan, that Srimati Radharani was serving Krishna in Mahavan, and Radharani was experiencing so much ecstasy serving Krishna that she lost her external consciousness. While she was in this condition, Krishna left her and went to meet. So now Radharani left her external consciousness. So when she was like that, Krishna left her and went to meet with another gopi named Viraja. Viraja was also very dear to Krishna. She is always at the age of 16 years, very youthful and decorated with many varieties of jewels. So she was very happy to have the Lord with her, and thus she engaged ecstatically in serving Krishna. So in the meantime, Sri Radharani returned to her external senses, and then she saw that Krishna is not there. So not seeing Krishna anywhere, she came to know from her Sakhis that Krishna had gone to Viraja to receive service from her. So this made Radharani very angry, and she started to cry in separation from the Lord, and her eyes became red. Shri Radha asked her Sakhis, her friends, to show where Krishna had gone. So she wanted to go there and see how Viraja was. She wanted to go to the place where Krishna is meeting with Viraja, and also she wanted to see how Viraja was serving Krishna. So she became very angry and told her friends that Sri Krishna is like a pot of poison. He is very crooked inside, Radharani is saying, but his face is very sweet like nectar. Do not allow the smiling face of Krishna, Sri Hari, near my house. I will go to Viraja's Kunja. I want to see how she is serving Krishna. So Radharani had 630 million 630 million gopis as her personal assistant. And they all wanted to go with her to Virja's Kunja. They all climbed upon a chariot that was 100 yojanas in height and 10 yojanas in diameter. It was made from the most perfect precious gems and shone like millions of suns. It was decorated with 30 million kalashas, and on top of the chariot were very beautiful flags with the marks of horses. The chariot had 100,000 wheels and flew at the speed of the mind. It was gorgeously decorated with 400,000 bells which hung from all sides, and it had 10 million golden pillars. Its wheels were painted with all kinds of designs. Inside were 100,000 rooms, 100,000 rooms inside the chariot, each decorated nicely with the varieties of gems. There were 10 million beds prepared with parijat flowers and decorated with many bells and flags. This is the Radharani's chariot. All the rooms were equipped with different types of paraphernalia of the best quality, luxury furnishings, dresses, ornaments, and so on. Inside the chariot, there were hundreds of gardens and lakes that increased the beauty of the chariot. There were many platforms made of gold and millions of stairs made of varieties of high-grade gems like Syamantak jewel, Kaustuba jewel, and Ruchuka jewel. Flower garlands hung from all sides and filled the air with attractive fragrance. The whole chariot was covered by a thin silk cloth and decorated by 10 million mirrors. There were 10 million chamaras hanging from the chariot, each with a handle made of Vajramani and anointed with nice smelling chandana, agru, kasturi, and kumkum. The chariot was so beautiful and perfect, like nothing anyone had seen before. Riding on that chariot, Srimati Radharani, the dearest of Sri Krishna, went to the place where Krishna was served by Virja. Reaching there, Radharani got down from the chariot and looked upon the Ratnavedi. There she saw a most beautiful Gopa, whose face resembled a blooming lotus. He was surrounded by 100 Gopas and was standing guard at the gate. One guard was there, Gopa. He was very dear to Sri Krishna and his name was Sri Dama. So Radharani told Sri Dama in a very angry mood, "O servant of a debauchee, get out of my way. I would like to see your Lord with another consort. I want to see how Krishna is there." Sri Dama was very strong and held a stick in his hand. All the gopis became angry when Sri Dama blocked Radharani's entry, and they forcibly removed him from his post at the gate. Inside, Krishna heard all the noise taking place at the entrance. He realized that Radharani had come in an angry mood. So all the gopis removed Sri Dama from there, and Krishna heard all the noise, and then he realized that Radharani had come and she is very angry, and then what he did, he immediately disappeared. So when Virja saw that Krishna had left, then by the power of yoga, she also gave up her body, and that body immediately took the form of a river and circled the whole of Goloka. Around the Goloka, this river is there, and it became known as the Virja river. And this river was 10 million yojanas in width and 100 million in length. It was a most beautiful and attractive river. When Radharani entered the house, she did not find Krishna there. She found that Virja had taken the form of a river, so she left to return to her home. She came back. When Radharani left, Krishna again appeared there. He found that Virja had left her body and that her body had turned into a river. So the river was very beautiful. filled with clean and transparent water. Sitting on the bank of river Virja, Krishna started to lament. He was crying loudly in separation from Viraja. The Lord said, "O my most dear Viraja, please come back to me. Without you, how can I live? O most chaste lady, please again accept your body and give me your darshan." Who is saying? Krishna is saying to Virja. "I bless you to be the predominating deity of all rivers. You will become most beautiful, more fortunate than before, and best deity of all rivers. You will become most beautiful and more fortunate and best among all ladies. O chaste lady, your old body has been transformed into a river. Now you come out of that water and stand before me in the form of your new body." Krishna is telling to Virja. After hearing this from the Lord, Virja appeared in front of Krishna. She looked almost as beautiful as Radharani. She wore a yellow sari and was smiling. By the mercy of the Lord, Virja had now become the best among all beautiful ladies and respected by everyone. Her bodily luster was like the champaka flower. Her lips were reddish like ripened bimba fruit, and her teeth were beautiful like ripened pomegranates. Her face bloomed like a full moon during autumn. Her eyes were like full blue lotus flower, and her body was anointed with kasturi. And the vermilion sindoor on her forehead made her supremely beautiful, and her cheeks reflected her dazzling earrings made of precious gems. She wore varieties of jeweled necklaces. Her nose was adorned with rare pearls from the forehead of an elephant, and her neck and chest were beautified by a pearl necklace. Her arms were decorated with bangles made from conch and precious jewels, and the ankle bells on her feet were tinkling softly. When Sri Hari saw Virja, his beloved, in this most beautiful form, immediately he approached and embraced her. Virja Devi, by coming in contact with the Lord, who is master of the whole creation, was blessed with a child in her womb. After 100 celestial years, she begot 7 sons. Who? Virja. Once Virja was engaged in serving the Lord in Vrindavan in a solitary place. At this time, her youngest son approached her. Virja's youngest son. He was being tortured by his other elder brothers. She had come to his mother to get her help. When the Lord saw the youngest son of Virja in that very frightened situation, he left Virja so she could care for her son and went to the house of Srimati Radharani. When Virja returned and saw Krishna had left her, she became angry with her son. Because of him, she was now deprived of the Lord's association. She started to lament, and in her anger, she cursed her son, saying, "Your water will become salty." Okay, so she cursed her son, saying, "Your water will become salty. No one will be able to drink your water." Then she also cursed all her other sons for disturbing her youngest son. She told them, "You foolish sons, you all go to Bhuloka, the earthly planet. I curse you to live separately on the 9 different islands and thus enjoy your lives there." So these are the 7 sons of Virja, who are the 7 seas, 7 oceans. Okay, and one of the ocean is the salty water ocean, the youngest son. Okay. So When the sons heard of their mother's curse from the younger brother, they all approached their mother. After receiving confirmation of the curse, they paid their humble obeisances to their mother, and left for Jambudvipa. All these brothers now exist as different oceans on the earth. The saltwater ocean is the youngest son, and each brother is double the size of their younger brother. The name of the 7 oceans are Lavan Ocean. The youngest son is Lavan Ocean, salt water. The next son became next ocean, which is double in size compared to the younger son. So the next ocean is Ikshu Ocean, that means sugarcane ocean, sugarcane juice. And Sura Samudra, third one, that is the ocean of wine. Then the next is Ghrita, ghee, ocean of ghee. Then next is Dadhi Samudra, ocean of yogurt. And then the next is ocean of milk, Dugdha Samudra. And then the 7th one is the sweet water ocean, Swadugdaka ocean. So these 7 oceans surrounded 7 islands, and all of them lamented due to their separation from each other and from their most beloved mother. So the 7 oceans are separately existing in Jambudvipa, in Bhuloka. So mother, this 7 ocean thing and the geography of these 7 oceans are explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 5th canto. Mother Virija fainted in separation from her sons and Sri Krishna. She started to cry piteously. When Krishna knew her miserable condition, he went to her with a smiling face. By seeing the Lord in front of her, Virija became blissful and free from lamentation. Krishna became merciful towards Virija and blessed her by saying, "My dear Virija, I will come to your house every day. You are as dear as Radha to me. By my blessings, you can look after and protect your children even while staying in this Goloka Dham." While the Lord was speaking to Virija like this, some of Radharani's friends, Sakhis, were nearby. And they went to Radharani and explained everything to her. And Radharani heard that Krishna is telling Virija that you are as dear to me as Radha. Radharani became very angry and started to cry. She went to Krodha Mandir and fell asleep on the ground. In the meantime, after pacifying Virija, Krishna returned to Radharani's house, accompanied by Sridama. When Srimati Radharani saw Krishna, out of anger, she started to speak very unpalatable words to Krishna. Very angry mood. She said, "In this Goloka, you have ladies who are more dear to you than me. You please go to them now. What is the use of coming to me? Your beloved consort Virja has left her body and accepted the body of a river due to fear of me. You go to her. You go to the bank of Virja and build a temple for yourself and stay there on the bank of Virja river. When she has become a Nadi means female river. When Virja became a Nadi, you can then become one Nada, male river. You go and become there. She became female river, you go and become male river. You go there. It will be easier for you to associate with her if you become male river. This is more suitable way for association. When all great personalities come to know that the Lord of the universe has accepted the form of a river to get association of another river, then they will all laugh. Radharani is saying that Virja is more dear to you compared to me. So you go to her. She became river, you also become river. She became female river, you became male river. You go and associate with her. And all the world will come to know that the Lord of the universe is doing like this. Then everybody will laugh at you. Srimati Radharani was surrounded by her Sakhis. Some Sakhi were holding chamaras, some held betel nuts, and other held beautiful flower arrangement. Some were holding scented water, some held lotus, and some held vermilion powder in their hands. Some were holding varieties of jewelry made from gems, some were holding kajal, some held scented oil, some were holding musical instruments like the flute and veena, and some Sakhis were holding combs for the hair, some were dancing, and while some were showing the tricks of Sangeeta. Some Sakhis were holding honey pots in their hands, some were holding nice cloth, and some were engaged in serving the lotus feet of Radharani. Some were standing with folded hands, and some were offering homages and prayers. Thus, so many Sakhis surrounded Radharani, and outside the house, millions of gopis were present, some holding sticks at the door. They stopped Krishna. Krishna was coming. So, they stopped Krishna from entering the house, and then from inside, Srimati Radharani. So, all the Sakhis and gopis standing around, having a stick in the hand, and they stopped Krishna entering inside the house of Radharani. And from inside, Srimati Radharani started to rebuke and speak harsh words to the Lord. She said, now she is telling Krishna, O Virja Kant. She is connecting him with Virja. O Virja Kant, go away from here. You are chanchal, fickle, you are a thief. You go. Why are you giving me so much pain? Go to Padmavati or Ratnamala or Manohara or Vanamala or any other lady who is incomparable in her beauty. Go, anyone. O husband of a river, because Birja became river, na? O husband of a river, now I know your Sarupa. Let there be all auspiciousness unto you. Now leave my house. O Lampata, she is scolding Krishna like anything. You have behaved like a human being, so you should go. Now she is cursing Krishna. Who? Srimati Radharani is cursing Krishna, saying, O Lampat, you are behaving like human being, so you should go to earth and accept a human form there. Go. After speaking in this angry way to Krishna, Radharani addressed her Sakhis. O Sushili, O Sashikale, O Padmavati, O Madhavi, you must stop this most cunning person from entering in my house. What business has he here? Don't allow him to come inside. Understanding Srimati Radharani's anger, some gopis advised Krishna, O Krishna, O Hari, you please go out of this place for some time while we pacify Radharani. Now Sakhis are thinking Radharani is very much angry. She said, for time being you go, we will pacify her and then later you come. We will see. Some other gopis said, dear Krishna, dear Hari, you please go and wait for some time in another house. Except for you, who else can protect her? Some gopis out of their love for Radha said, as long as Radharani has not been pacified, better you go and stay in Vrindavan forest. Some gopis teased Krishna, saying, you go and pacify her with your devotion. Some gopis said, O Krishna, better that you look for some other consort and go to her. You are a woman hunter. Some gopis said, who is that person who can face Radharani now? Nobody can face, she is so angry now. Some said, O Krishna, O Hari, please now go to some other place, O Hari. When Radharani's anger is subdued, then you come back again. For time being you go, now she is very angry. Some gopis said, you had better go out of this place now, otherwise we will all remove you from here. We will throw you out. While all the gopis were speaking like this, the Lord of the Lords was keeping quiet and smiling gently. His face was very blissful and peaceful, and he was completely free from anger. When the Lord, who is the cause of all causes, was denied by the gopis and advised by them to wait for some time, he was very peacefully, he went to the next room and waited there. Now Sridama was with Krishna and observing all that was taking place, Due to his love for Krishna, Sri Dama became angry at the way Sri Radharani behaved towards his friend Krishna. Sri Dama's eyes became red with anger and he said to Srimati Radharani, "O Sri Radhika, why are you abusing my friend and talking all these bitter words? O Devi, you are rebuking him unnecessarily without any proper consideration. One who is the worshipable of Lord Brahma, Ananta, Maheshwar and Dharma, everybody is worshipping him, who is the cause of this cosmic manifestation, who is the controller of Saraswati, Lakshmi, Maya and Prakriti, who is Nirguna, devoid of all material qualities. Atmarama, Purnakama, you are troubling that Krishna and giving him so much difficulty. You should be careful with your behavior towards Krishna, O auspicious lady. It is surprising to me that you do not recognize him, by the service of whose lotus feet you have become Sarveshwari, great among all Ishwaris. What can I say to you in this regard? This Krishna, by the movement of his eyebrows, can create millions of Devis like you. Do you not recognize that Nirgun Paramatma, Sri Krishna, Lakshmi Devi herself is wiping the lotus feet of the Lord with her hair and serving him with so much love and devotion in Vaikuntha? Saraswati Devi is constantly offering seva, stava, by using most suitable words which are very pleasing to the ears. You did not recognize that Lord. You did not know him, to whom Maya, Prakriti Devi, is always offering her prayers out of devotion and fear. Oh dear lady, all the Vedas are glorifying him, but still you did not know him. O Ishwari, the father of all Vedas, Lord Brahma, with his 4 mouths, constantly glorifies Krishna and serves Krishna's lotus feet. You could not understand him? Shankar, the guru of all yogis, is offering stavas and serving his lotus feet with tears in his eyes and in a most ecstatic mood. Anantadev himself is constantly glorifying that Paramatma Sri Krishna with his thousands of mouths and serving his lotus feet. Lord Dharmaraj, who is the witness to everyone, master and protector of the universe, is always serving the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna with so much love and devotion. Vishnu, who is residing in Shwetadipa, the maintainer of the universe and partial manifestation of Lord Sri Krishna, is always meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Lord Krishna. O Mother, you should give up your anger immediately and constantly worship the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, the Lord. By the blink of his eye, the whole cosmic manifestation comes into existence and is annihilated. Brahma exists for only one moment of Hari. O Radhe, you and all your ladies, indeed the whole cosmic manifestation, are all controlled by my Lord Sri Krishna. After hearing these most powerful words from Sri Dama, Radharani became very angry. Her lips were trembling, her hair became loose, and her eyes became red like lotus. She immediately rose and came out of the house, and approaching Sri Dama, she told him, "O foolish one, super foolish, servant of that debauchee, that fellow, listen to me now. You think you know everything and all the truth. I do not know your Lord. O most fallen one in Braja, is Krishna only your Lord? Is he not my Lord? I know you always praise the Divine Father and blaspheme the Mother, you foolish one. As the demons always blame the demigods for their troubles, in the same way you are also always blaming me. That is why I curse you. From now you become a demon, because you are behaving like demon." She told to Krishna that you are behaving like human, so you go and become human. And she is told to Srimati Radharani told to Krishna that you are behaving like a human, so you go and become human. And Srimati Radharani told to Sri Dama that you are behaving like a demon, so you go and become a demon. You leave Goloka and take birth in the demon species. This is my curse upon you. Let us see who can protect you from my curse. Now you see, this is all happening in Goloka. Sri Dama became very angry and his lips started to tremble in anger. He then cursed Sri Radha. Now he cursed Sri Radha in return. And he said, and I curse you to go and take birth in the human species because you have become angry like a human being. So you should take birth as a human being. There you will be defective in your partial expansion. On earth, foolish people will know you as the wife of Abhimanyu. Okay, so you should go and you will take birth in human species because you have become angry like a human being, and you should take birth as a human being. There you will be defective in your partial expansion. On earth, foolish people will know you as the wife of Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu, who is part of Krishna only, will take birth in Vrindavan. You will come in contact with Sri Krishna there in Vrindavan and enjoy with him in the different forests of Braja. Then you will be separated from Sri Krishna for 100 years. You will be separated. After that time, you will be united with the Lord again and return to Sri Goloka Dham. So that was the curse, that you go to Goloka and you have to be known as the wife of Abhimanyu, who is actually the partial part of Krishna only. And you will, for some time you will enjoy with Krishna there, but then for 100 years you will be separated from Krishna. After that you both will come to Goloka. After saying this to Sri Radha, Sri Dama offered his humble obeisances to her and left to meet with Lord Krishna. He explained everything about his cursing of Srimati Radharani and her cursing of him, and then started to cry. He told that she cursed me, so I cursed her, and then he started crying. Then the Krishna told Sri Dama, now you go to the earth planet because you have to become demon. You will appear there as Shankhachuda, the king of demons. No one will be able to conquer you. When 500 yugas have passed, then by my mercy you will give up your demon body when struck with the Trishul of Mahadev, at which time you will return to me in Goloka Dham. Shankhachuda demon you will become, and after 500 years, he will be so powerful demon, nobody will be able to defeat him, and after 500 years Lord Shiva will kill him, and then he will come to Goloka Dham. Sri Dama requested the Lord, please never deprive me of devotion unto your lotus feet, O Krishna. With Krishna's assurance ringing in her ears, Sri Dama offered his obeisances and left. At that time, Sri Radha in tears was coming to meet with Krishna. She informed him of everything. Seeing Sri Radha in a distressed condition due to separation, the Lord began to pacify her. Thus, in this way, Sri Dama spent the specified time period in the form of Shankhachuda before returning to Krishna. And Sri Radha, the daughter of King Brishvanu, appeared on earth along with Lord Sri Krishna to eventually become the wife of Abhimanyu. Okay, so this was the story, this was the pastime happened in Goloka, where Srimati Radharani got cursed. Okay, first Srimati Radharani gave curse to Krishna to come to earthly planet Bhuloka as human, and then Sri Dama cursed, Srimati Radharani cursed Sri Dama to become a demon in earth, and then Sri Dama cursed Srimati Radharani to become human, and she will be married to Abhimanyu. who is actually part of Krishna, and then she will be separated from Krishna for 100 years. So this was the curse. So because of this curse, Sri Rama came as Sankhchuda demon, and Radharani came as the Vrishvani Dulari, and Krishna came as Yashodanandan. And then the pastime happens here in Bhuloka. So that was the story. Now, okay, so tomorrow is the, okay, can we continue or what? Till 9 o'clock we can continue, na? Yes? Okay. Okay, today is 10th. 11, 12, 13. Okay, we can complete so much. So now next thing is, now they got cursed there and everyone has to come here. Now how they came here? Srimati Radharani's appearance, especially we will discuss how Srimati Radharani appeared on earth. Okay. Let us see. So there are very many description in scriptures about the appearance of Srimati Radharani on the earth. One reason for this is that the appearance took place in different kalpas. Why there are different explanation? Because in different kalpas, different leelas happens. So in his Sri Lalita Madhav, this is one Granth, Lalita Madhav, written by Sri Rup Goswami. He relates the appearance of Srimati Radharani as explained by Puranamasi Devi to Gargi, the daughter of Garg Muni. So the details of this appearance were known to Puranamasi Devi, as she arranges all the pastimes of the Lord, and she shared this information only with Mother Yashoda and Rohini Devi. Puranamasi Devi is the one who arranges everything in Vrindavan. So now this is the story, how Srimati Radharani appeared in the earth. Okay. So Vindhya Parvat means mountain, Vindhya mountain. Okay. So Vindhya mountain is where? Vindhya mountain is here in near Chitrakoot. This area is all the Vindhya mountain part. Okay, Vindhyachal. Okay. So Vindhya Parvat was envious of the great Himalaya mountain. So because Himalaya having Parvati as his daughter, so Vindhya mountain has some envy feeling towards Himalaya mountain. Himalaya mountain having Parvati as his daughter, so he had the opportunity to get Lord Mahadev as his son-in-law. So Vindhya Parvat desired to have a fortunate daughter. Now, because Himalaya mountain is having a fortunate daughter like Parvati, so Mahadev is his son-in-law. So Vindhya mountain also felt that I should also have a fortunate daughter whose husband could defeat Mahadev in fighting, and who would thus attain the position of Rajendra, emperor. So to fulfill this desire, Vindhya Parvat performed a severe tapasya in order to please Lord Brahma. After some time, Lord Brahma appeared before him and asked him what kind of boon what he want. So Vindhya mountain replied that he wanted to have a daughter who carried the blessing that whomever she married could defeat Mahadev in battle. I want such a, so Vindhya mountain, what boon he asked from Brahmaji, that my daughter, I want such a fortunate daughter whose husband can defeat Mahadev. Because Brahma was very pleased with him, immediately he said, Tathastu, so be it. Now Vindhya was very happy to receive this boon from Lord Brahma, but after offering the boon, Lord Brahma was thinking, Brahmaji gave the boon, now he is thinking, who is that person? Who is that person who can defeat Mahadev in battle? Now this is another complication happened. Who can defeat Lord Shiva? So it is not possible. So he was worried now about the boon he had granted just now. He was so much in tension. Then he realized that Lord Krishna's pastime was going to take place on the earth. He understood that just after some time Krishna's Leela going to start. So only Krishna can defeat Mahadev in battle. So Brahmaji thought, okay, Lord Krishna's eternal consort is Srimati Radharani. If Vindhya Parvat can get Radharani as his daughter, only then can my boon be justified. Okay, now he gave the boon, but now he had to do so much rearrangement inside. So, but how can this happen now? How Srimati Radharani can appear as the daughter of Vindhya mountain? So, Srimati Kirtida is the eternal mother of Radharani. How can Vindhya then get her as his daughter? So, worrying about how his boon would come to fruit, Lord Brahma underwent severe tapasya. Now Vindhya mountain did tapasya, Brahmaji gave boon. Now how to fulfill the boon? Brahmaji had to do tapasya. So Brahmaji did tapasya to please Srimati Radharani. So when she was pleased with him, he requested her to please appear as the daughter of Vindhya Parvat. Radharani was pleased by Brahmaji's tapasya and she asked, what do you want? So he said, you please appear as the daughter of Vindhya mountain. So Radharani agreed and Yogamaya Devi arranged for two girls. Now Yogamaya arranged two girls. One is Radharani and one is Chandravali, who were like already in the womb of the wives of Brishabhanu and Chandrabhanu. Okay, so and put them in the womb of the wife of Vindhya Parvat. So this two daughters were there in the womb of the wives of Brishabhanu and Chandrabhanu. So Yogamaya arranged in such a way so that she put these daughters in the womb of the wife of Vindhya Parvat. As a result, the wife of Vindhya begot two daughters and both were very, very beautiful. In the meantime, Lord Krishna had appeared in Mathura. So by the order of the Lord Vasudeva, when Krishna appeared in Mathura, and then Krishna ordered Vasudeva, what? That you take me to Gokul. So when Vasudeva took Krishna to Gokul and left him with Yashoda, who had given birth to a daughter, Vasudeva exchanged Krishna with the daughter of Yashoda and took her to the prison cell where he and Devaki were being held by Kamsa. So he went there and he took the daughter of Yashoda. Hearing that Devaki's eighth child had taken birth, immediately Kamsa came to the spot and snatched the girl from the lap of Devaki. When Kamsa was ready to throw the girl on the stone and thus kill her, the girl escaped from his hand and appeared in her form as Yogamaya Devi. She declared loudly, Kamsa, you are the demon Kalnemi in your previous birth. In previous birth, he was the demon Kalnemi. That Lord who had killed you with his disc in that battle, who is known by the learned personality as the most worshipable of the demigods, and who is cause of the whole cosmic manifestation, today he has appeared on the earth to give pleasure to all the living entities. O Kamsa, you should know one more thing. By tomorrow, 8 Mahashakti, she is telling to Kamsa, Yogamaya, that you should know that by tomorrow, 8 Mahashakti, greater and more attractive than me, will also take birth on the earth. Their names are Radha, Chandravali, Lalita, Vishakha, Padma, Shaibya, Shyamala and Bhadra. These 8 Mahashaktis who are more powerful than me will also appear. Among these 8 Mahashaktis, 2 will be most famous for their great qualities, Whoever marries these two girls will be most fortunate, and he will be Rajendra and will be so powerful that he will defeat even Mahadev in battle. After saying this, Devi disappeared from there and left for Vindhya mountain. She came to Vindhyachal mountain and became Vindhyavasini. When Kansa heard this from Devi, he ordered Putana to kill all newborn males and abduct all newborn females. Kansa ordered, kill everyone, all the newborn babies. According to the order of this, Kamsa, when Putana was searching for such children, now you see this. Now Putana got this order from Kansa that kill every child. So Putana was searching for such a children. She found two most beautiful baby girls. Putana was searching that child and she saw, oh, there are two beautiful baby. So after Vindhya Parvat's wife gave birth to two daughters, Vindhya arranged a samskar ceremony for these two girls. Vindhya Parvat wife gave birth to these two daughters and samskara was going on. So a brahmana was performed the yajna with the two daughters present there. So when Putana saw these two most beautiful girls, immediately Putana took these two girls and started to fly away in the sky. Putana took away these two babies. Now King Vindhya became very worried and ordered the Brahmanas to chant mantras to kill the demon who was stealing his daughters. By the order of the Vindhya, the Brahmanas started chanting the mantras, which caused Putana to gradually become weaker. Putana became weaker and weaker because of the power of mantras. So she was not able to hold both the baby girls and threw one of them into a river below. She threw one baby, which flowed in the kingdom known as Vidarbha. Okay, this one daughter, two daughters she took. So because of power of mantra which Brahmanas were chanting, Putana became weaker and weaker, and then she was not able to hold two babies. So one baby she left, and that baby fell down in the river and flowed to the king of Vidarbha. His name was Bhishmak. The king of Vidarbha found this girl and kept her with him until the age of 5. At that time, Jamvan was residing in both Vindhya and Govardhan mountain. By the order of Vindhya, Jamban went to Vidarbha and took this girl back. She was known as Chandravali. So King Vidarbha, Bhishma kept till 5 years, and then this Jamvan used to live in Vindhya mountain and Govardhan mountain. So Vindhya mountain ordered Jamvan that you bring the daughter. So he bring, and Jamvan went to Vidarbha and took this girl, and she was known as Chandravali. When Putana was still flying with the other girl in her arms, her weakness increased, and upon reaching Braja, she fell to the ground, Putana. At that time, Puranmasi Devi recovered that baby girl from Putana. She took that baby girl from Putana and gave her to Mukhra and told her, she is the daughter of your son-in-law, Brishabhanu, so you should take care of her. Okay. Puranmasi Devi took the baby girl from Putana and gave her to Mukhra and told her that this daughter is actually the daughter of your son-in-law, Brishabhanu. So you should take care of her. Okay. In this way, from that day, she became known as Radha, the daughter of King Brishabhanu. So Puranmasi had recovered 5 more girls from Putana. Putana was killing so many babies. So she recovered 5 more girls from Putana, and these 5 more girls were Lalita, Padma, Bhadra, Shebya and Shyama. Okay. In this way, Srimati Radharani and Chandravali appeared along with their Sakhis. This information was given by Narad Muni to Puranmasi Devi. This is the description how Srimati Radharani appeared on the earth. Okay, this is the one of the description. Now there is another description of the appearance of Srimati Radharani on this planet. Slightly different. What happened once Suryadev, Bhanu, Suryadev worshipped Lord Krishna with a desire to get Golokeshwari as his daughter. The Lord was pleased with Suryadev's worship and agreed to fulfill his desire. On the earthly planet in Gokul Mahavan, there is a village called Raval. In that village, there was a king among the cowherd named Mahabhanu. He had 5 sons: Chandrabhanu, Ratnabhanu, Vrishabhanu, Subhanu and Pratibhanu. Each of them was very sober, self-controlled and were great Vaishnavas. Among these 5 brothers, Vrishabhanu was selected to take up the position on the throne. This Vrishabhanu was non-different than Suryadev, Bhanudev. This Vrishabhanu is the incarnation of Suryadev only. So King Vrishabhanu performed hundreds of Rajasuya Yajna for the pleasure of Lord Sri Hari Sri Krishna. And observing performed, and after he did so many Rajasuya Yajna and observing religious practices in all the respects, he was actually a very great Rajarsi, very great saintly king, and everyone worshipped him for his great qualities. Who? Vrishabhanus. At that time there was another very rich cowherd man living in Vraja called Bindu. His wife's name was Mukhra. Bindu had fathered 5 sons and 3 daughters from the womb of his wife Mukhra. The 5 sons were Bhadrakirti, Chandrakirti, Mahabal, Mahakirti and Sridama. His daughters' names were Bhanumudra, Kirtimati and Kirtida. According to some Puranas, another name of Kirtida is Kalavati also. Somebody say the name was Kirtida, somebody say Kalavati. King Vrishabhanu married Kirtida, the daughter of Bindu. Even after many years had passed, still they had no child. Both of them were passing their days in great distress and trying their best to conceive a child by performing different kinds of yajnas, giving in charity, performing special pujas and archana and traveling to different holy places. But still they were not successful. Finally, the most chaste Kirtida advised her husband to worship Devi Katyayani. As per her advice, King Vrishabhanu commenced worship of Katyayani Devi at the foot of Govardhan on the bank of the river Yamuna. He performed austerities by following Mauna Brata and abstaining from food for long period of time. One day, while absorbed in meditation during his vrata, King Vrishabhanu heard a sound vibration. Something he heard. What was that? Hari Naam Vina Vats Karna Sudhir Na Jayate Tasmat Sreyash Karam Rajan Hari Namanu Kirtanam Grihan Hari Namani Yatha Kramam Vinindita. What he heard during the meditation, he heard, "O Vats, my dear son, without accepting Harinam, the ears do not get purified. To chant the holy name of Hari is most auspicious. Accept the holy name of Hari properly." Then King Vrishabhanu went to the ashram of Kratu Muni, which was situated on the bank of the Yamuna, and accepted Harinam from Kratu Muni, who explained so many different rules and regulations. The mantra given by Kratu Muni to Brishvanu was Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So then Kratu Muni told the king Brishvanu, Iti Shodash Namatmaka Namnam Trikal Kalmashapaham Natah Partaropaya Sarva Vedeshu Vidyate. This is from Brahmand Puran Uttarakhand Radha Hriday title. So after giving the Mahamantra to the king, Kratu Muni told Brishvanu, Shakto va Vaishnavo vapi, Sauryo va Shaiva eva va, Gano patyo labhet karna, Shuddhim namanu kirtanat. Whether you are Shakta or Shaiva, Shakta means you are worshipper of Devi, or you are Shaiva, worshipper of Shiva, or you are Saurya, worshipper of Surya, or a Vaishnava, or worshipper of Vishnu, or a Ganpatya, worshipper of Ganpati. In any case, only Harinam Kirtan brings purification to the ears. Unless one takes Harinam at the beginning and purifies the ears, no other mantra will give any result. In whose ear hole the holy name of Lord Hari has not entered, his ears are contaminated like low-born Shabaras. O king, the Harinam which I have offered to you has been glorified by Srila Vyasadeva when once he was asked by Suta Goswami. Brahma has also taught the process of chanting Harinam to Angira Muni. You should engage yourself in chanting this mantra with full concentration. After receiving this mantra, this Mahamantra, from Kratu Muni, Brishvanu offered his prostrated obeisances and came back to the bank of the Yamuna, where he sat and chanted the mantra with devotion. After some time, Katyayani Devi, being very pleased with King Brishvanu, appeared in front of him. The king offered his obeisances and prayers unto Katyayani Devi. When Devi asked the king about a boon he sought, he replied, Simply by having your darshan, all my desires are fulfilled. Still, if you are pleased to give me some boon, then what can I say? The desires of my heart are already known to you. After hearing the words of Maharaj Brishvanu, Katyayani offered the king an oval box in the shape of a golden egg. She gave one box in the shape of a golden egg, which was radiant like thousands of suns. Katyayani Devi then disappeared. Maharaj Brishvanu returned to his home with great jubilation. After some time, as the result of the service to Harinam, which was the essence of the vrat of Kirtida and Brishvanu, Srimati Radharani appeared on the most auspicious day at the most auspicious moment. She was very tender and most beautiful like a golden champaka flower. So that is the second description which is mentioned in scriptures about Srimati Radharani's appearance. And the third description of the appearance of Srimati Radharani is told as follows, that once King Brishvanu was immersed in the waters of the Yamuna, meditating upon the Lord. Suddenly a 1,000 petaled lotus flower came floating towards him and touched his body. When he opened his eyes, he saw the most beautiful molten gold colored girl lying on the lotus and moving her hands and legs. As the king had no child, he was very happy to receive this girl. He brought her to his palace and gave her to his wife Kirtida. In this way, Srimati Radharani appeared in the earthly home for her eternal parents Kirtida, Sundari and Maharaj Brishabhanu. So these are the three different explanations of Srimati Radharani's appearance on earth. So different kalpas, Leela may take place little differently. Okay. So now this is the 1 second. So tomorrow what we will discuss? Okay, let's see. Okay, so now Radharani's appearance we have discussed. Now tomorrow we will discuss some childhood pastime of Radharani, how Narad Muni first darshan, Narad Muni took first darshan of Srimati Radharani, opening of Radharani's eyes, these all things. Okay. About the different leelas we will see, or about the other gopis also we will see, other gopis and other Brajvasis and Radharani's Sakhis. This all we will discuss tomorrow. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Shila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimati Radharani ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Ashtami Mahamotsav ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Madhav Radha Shyam Sundar Bhagwan ki jai. Hare Krishna. Any question? Yesterday there was a question that some question was that I mean, if you serve and chant Shravan Kirtan, if you do in Mayapur, in Navdeep Dham, you can you can serve Krishna as Sakhis, right? So how it is possible? Because Gaudiya Sampradaya says that you can become and the servant of the Manjaris, right? That was the question, correct? Just please correct me if I am wrong.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so the point here is that when it is mentioned in the here that if you serve in the Navadip and you do Sarvan Kirtan, you can go and serve as Sakhi. So that is a general sentence. Okay, it's a general sentence. When we go in the technicality, then we have details. Okay, for example, when somebody say that if you chant Hare Krishna, you can go to Vaikuntha. So it is a general sentence. Okay, means we can, if we go in technicality, then there is a question like, okay, that means we are not going to the supreme destination. Chanting Hare Krishna will take us only to Vaikuntha. Then if we are to go to Goloka, then what? How it is possible? Chanting Hare Krishna will take Goloka, then why it is mentioned at Vaikuntha? Or sometime it is. So these are like sometime general description. It depends on what kind of description is happening and what is the flow. So there they will not go. There the other thing is more important. So these technicalities they will not. Because if this is general description going on, so if there we go in detail like manjaris and all this kinkaris and all those things, then people may, because this is not the main part here being explained. Here the part is explained about the glories of Navdeep Dham. So it is just said if you go and worship there and do devotional service in Navdeep, you will attain service as Sakhis. That means in the Madhurya Rasa. So definitely now if you go in technicality, definitely the process is that Radharani is there, then the Ashtasakhi, then the other gopis, and then the manjaris, then the kinkaris, and then the acharyas and all those. You definitely are going to go and serve there your guru only. So guru will be whatever position is there of your guru, you go and serve there only. Okay. So these things are in detail. Now now maybe if time permits in future classes we will get to this pastime where Srinivas Acharya goes there in Golok Dham and he serves as Manjari there, and then his disciple Ramchandra Kaviraj, Ramchandra Khan also goes there and he also serves as Manjari. So he serves the servant of his guru there also. So that is a fix. But that is a detail, that is a technique. But in general way, we can say, okay, you go in the mood of gopis, you will serve there. You will serve in the Madhurya, or you will serve as Sakhi or either. So all are Sakhi only. So not. So I mean, the sentence were made in the book by Maharaj was just a general sentence. Okay, is it? Does it? I mean, is it okay? Does this answer your question?
Yes, Prabhuji, मेरा एक और प्रश्न है.
Yeah.
टाइम है आपके पास?
Yes.
What is the difference between Manjari and Kinchari आपने बोला अभी?
That is another level, next level. So Sakhis are there, then Manjaris are there, then the Kinkaris. They are more small girls. So our thing is that only I Nanda Tanuj Kinkaram. Kinkaram means this is the lowest one. Okay, so they are like I mean like See, Radharani is there, and the main Sakhis are there, and the Gopis are there, but Manjaris are below them. They are the girl in the teenage. So these girls can assist Radha and Krishna in their pastimes. Okay, because they are in the teenage, so they can enter there. And Kinkaris are even more. They are helping Manjaris, or like that you can understand. Okay, fine.
I have one more question, Prabhuji, but it's not related to class. Can I ask?
Yeah, you can ask. Others can also want. If they want, they can hear, or if they want, they can drop.
Okay, Prabhuji, जैसे कि so I wanted to understand that, like, as Navyogendra Swami Maharaj, he says that one should make a list of all the bad habits one has and should go through it, so that we keep in mind that this is the dosh in me, right? So I believe that trying to become the master of everything is my dosh. So earlier I was not in Krishna consciousness, and before that I will try to do my best and try to give orders to others, do this, do that, and I didn't realize this as a bad habit. But when I came into Krishna consciousness, then I realized, okay, I'm passing orders to others instead of doing myself. I am passing these orders to others, so it doesn't look nice. So now I don't have that much interest in materialistic activities. So I think that giving orders to others, that kind of a thing has gone in the materialistic world. However, on the spiritual side, what I see is that on the spiritual side, because I have so much passion, and then what happens is I end up giving orders to others. Do this, let's do this. Let's do that, So I don't know how can I act be as a good person in a spiritual side. How can I change this habit? I don't know if I was able to make you understand that.
Okay, so passing orders and controlling things and all that is okay. So anyway, this is the problem with everyone, because everyone has got a controllership mentality. That is why that's why Jiva is there in the material world. First thing. Second thing is, whether it is your material world or your spiritual world. See, first of all, when our spiritual vision is mature, then nothing is material, everything is spiritual. Even if you go and work in the office, that is spiritual. Only it is not about the activity which is spiritual or material. It is about the intention in which you perform the activity. Okay. So if you are a person, I am just telling some general thing because others are also hearing. So if a person goes to office or college studying, or business, or he's an army man, anything, he's a politician. So if he has his intention or consciousness set that I am doing this as a service of Krishna, then it is spiritual. Okay, because like we have Srila Prabhupada disciple Alfred Ford, Ambrish Prabhu, the great grandson of Henry Ford. Okay, so he is a businessman, such a big person, big business he is handling, and sitting in the business meeting and talking with the great business leaders who are completely materialistic. He is dealing all these things, but his consciousness is set as the servant of Srila Prabhupada. He is doing tremendous amount of service to Srila Prabhupada. He went to Prabhupada and he said, I want to become brahmachari, sannyasi, I want to leave all this. Prabhupada said, no, you cannot do that because you have another way. You can do Krishna's service in another way that is more suitable for you. In that way you can serve more to Krishna. So I have to first of all see in what way I can serve Krishna in more or in a better way, which is that thing. So when a person is working in a, like staying inside the temple or fully dedicatedly doing, so there also his intention matters. He may be doing some arati, he may be doing something inside the temple, but what is the intention? If intention is that I want my own self glorification and all these things, then that is a material activity, it is not a spiritual activity. That's why the activity is not that important compared to the intention which we do. So now if a person is in the office also, material kind of thing, if he is there, he is a devotee. Now he cannot leave everything and he has to work. He has family, children, everyone. So he has to work. He or she has to work. But he or she can work in the Krishna consciousness. They can dedicate their life for Krishna by serving in the office. Okay. So whatever they come, they completely give that fruit for Krishna's service. They have temple in the room. In their house they have Krishna. They offer food to Krishna. Everything they do for Krishna. Okay. It's not like it is only devotion when you give all the salary to temple. No. You are arranging food for your children, considering them as the son of Krishna, whose responsibility is given to me, so I have to feed them. So if this consciousness is there, then you are serving, you are doing bhakti only. By serving, by giving, arranging food and shelter for your children and your wife, and that means you are doing bhakti, because your consciousness is that you are doing as a service of Krishna, and you are trying to make them devotee of Krishna. So that is one part of it. So he is also doing bhakti. Now when he is in the office, he has to pass some order. Suppose he is a boss, he is manager, he has to pass order. So he has to give some commandment. If somebody is not doing properly, he has to scold them. This is part of job. So he does that. Now again he is scolding one employee because he has not done his job properly. He is scolding him and he is angry on him. So how we will see whether he is a devotee or what is. So now this activity of anger is that not that important compared to the intention behind the anger. Behind the anger, what is the intention? So behind the anger, intention, if intention is that because of this fellow my material possession or wealth is getting affected, this fellow, or I want to show him that he is rascal or like this, so that is material. But if my intention is that this is my service and my service is to do this all work and make them also work. So I, as a part of my service, I have to scold him, I have to ask him that he should do properly, because otherwise my service to Krishna is getting affected. This is Karma Yoga. So I have to get, and I am also trying to help him, because it is not committing mistake again and again is not good for his career also. So in that way, I am trying to help him. Let me help him by scolding and by explaining him what the mistake is he doing. So in this way, this kind of controllership and ordering is not bad. Okay. Now, if a person is not in that kind of environment, he is in the spiritual environment. He is always between the devotees and the temple thing and all. Then also he has to pass order. He has to control some people. Okay. He has to tell people to clean the temple. He has to assign the services. Okay, now Radhashtami festival, you have to do this, you have to do this. And he has to ask, Prabhuji, what happened? I gave you this service. What happened? How much did complete? And he has to tell them also, Prabhuji, why you are not doing? Radhashtami is coming. We have very less time. He has to show little anger also. Right? He has to show this thing. Inside the temple, this is all happening. They will scold like anything. If a service is not done on time or not properly, they will scold like anything. Very bad. But what is the intention behind that scolding? If this intention is that I have planned very nicely that I will become very famous and this fellow is not doing very good, because of him my things are getting affected. For example, one Maharaj, very famous speaker, very big Maharaj of ISKCON, he was invited in one TV channel for giving some interview. All the country, whole nation will watch that very famous channel. And he reached there, and the other devotees who were supposed to arrange there, they did not bring a mala, because when a speaker is giving some interview, there should be a mala. Okay, so they forgot to bring mala, and now there is no mala, and he has to give class without mala. Then he scolded nicely. He scolded the disciples and the other devotees who were supposed to arrange everything. He scolded. So now why did he scold? Mala. And now the intention is, because I am sitting in front of camera, everybody is saying, so there should be mala, so that people will feel that, oh, he is something very big. So if that is the intention, then it is not right. It is material. But what was the actually, he said that why I am scolding you, because it is not because I have to wear a mala and sit. No, that doesn't matter. The matter is that we are here to represent ISKCON, and ISKCON has a standard, and that standard we are not following, which is set by Srila Prabhupada. So we are not following that standard, because whole nation is seeing now ISKCON. They are not seeing me, they are saying this is ISKCON, and we have to set that standard, that ISKCON means this, so that everything should be pakka. So that's why I am scolding you, that for me it's not a problem, I don't want mala, but here I am as a representative of ISKCON, so you are putting that mala to ISKCON actually. So it has to be there. Okay, the standard which Prabhupada made, that has to be followed. So that is why I am scolding. So that kind of scolding is not material, that is not controlling, that is helping. And then what is another intention? That I am trying to help. Actually, a spiritual master scolds the disciple with the intention that I am actually serving them. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj says that my service I am your servant. I am your servant, and my service is to guide you. This is my service. For a husband, the husband is the servant of wife, and wife is the husband of servant. Husband is the servant of wife, and wife is the servant of husband. Okay, so as a servant of husband, what is the service of wife? To take care of the husband and to arrange food and other things. And as the servant of wife, what is the duty of husband? What is the service of husband? To take care of the wife. Okay. As servant of children, what is the duty of parents? They are also servant. We have our position only servant. So we have to think that we are servant only. Now, the service as a parent to the children is to take care the child, give them education, give them food, shelter. This is my service to my child. I am servant. So this is what, okay, everyone is servant. So with this intention, if somebody is controlling and passing orders, okay, see, one has to pass order. Prabhuji, please clean here. So this is passing order. Now I can think, why can't I do? But the service of a leader is to engage others in Krishna's service. Guru's service is this, that engage the disciples in the service of Krishna. What is that shloka? Yes, Bhagavat Prasado. In Guru Ashtakam, this line is coming, I forget. Sri Radhika Madhavyora Para Madhurya Leela Guna Rupa Namnam Pratikshana Swadana Lolupasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam. Mandir Marjanado. That line is there, na? निकुंजयूनो रतिकेली सिद्धि ये आली भी अपेक्षणीय तत्र अध्यक्ष ओके महाप्रभु चतुर्विदासी भगवत प्रसादो स्वादन्य तृप्तान हरिभक्त संगन कृत्यव तृप्ते भजते सदैव वंदे गुरु श्री चरणारविंदम. थर्ड श्लोक इज श्री विग्रहाराधन नित्य नाना श्रृंगार तन मंदिर मार्जनाद युक्त भक्तम शनियुंजतोपि. Yeah, this one is he Guru serves mandir marjana, he cleans mandir and everything he does, and he also teaches the disciple, he also engages the disciple. So he has to tell, Prabhupada used to tell, go and distribute the book. So he is passing order, because passing order is his service. So if you are in the association of devotees and your service is this, that you have to pass the order, then you have to pass the order. And if you are not doing that, then you are not doing your service. But don't pass order that you are the master. Pass order thinking that you are the servant and your service is to engage others in the service of Krishna. This is your service. So you are the servant. So now this is quite complicated things actually. So it needs a very high level of maturity. So my service is that I have to ask other devotee that please do this service. Okay, and you cannot do everything, otherwise Guru will do everything. Why? He will not pass order, disciple will sit simply and he will do all the things. What is the use? How the disciple will learn? Tomorrow they have to become Guru, so how they will teach others? They don't know anything, then what? Because they have not engaged anything. So it is your duty. If you are a senior devotee, it is your duty to engage others in service of Krishna. If you are not doing, then also Krishna is not happy, because you are not engaging them, you are not giving them opportunity to serve Krishna. So you have to give them opportunity. You have to engage them in the service of Krishna. Then only they will be purified. So you have to tell them, you have to teach them, you have to pass order. Please come and do this. But the way we say, our intention, that we have to be very careful. We cannot say, hey, you come here, simply sitting, chal, काम करो. You can't tell like that. You can simply request them, Prabhuji, if you are free, can you please do this thing for the service of Krishna, for the pleasure of Vaishnavas? So that's what we have to learn. That's why we have to ask for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada, please do this. Like that. So if you can ask, if you are free, may I request you to be here and take care of this service. If you are free, you can do this. Like that, there is a way. The words also important, but more than words is the intention important. Okay, when the intention, the mood, the bhav which comes out of the heart, it directly touches the next person's heart, and he understands. There is a heart to heart connection, because the Paramatma sitting in your heart knows what your intention is. And Paramatma sitting in the next person's heart tells him that the next person's intention is this. So that's why they understand. Before the intention can be understood very easily, that is why. Okay, so automatically if you tell somebody with a envious mood and an angry mood to someone, he will feel, definitely will feel that the sentence is good. Words are good, but there is something, he has not said that in that way. We say, no, sometimes people understand that the way he said, there is something in his mind. Why you said like this? Okay, so intention is very important. Okay, I don't know if I have understood your question and answered it properly. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you so much for joining. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.